wearing his prison uniform, went to a cabin, knocked on the door and asked to use the phone to make a call for help, the final part of his big getaway. But as luck, or sod's law in his case would have it, the cabin he chose was being rented out by an off-duty guard from the Olympic Corrections Centre that he had just escaped from. Needless to say, the officer immediately recognised Russell's red prison uniform. After a brief scuffle between the pair, the guard reported the incident and Russell was caught later that morning by other officers.
What are the chances you go 14 miles?
You're
not gonna cabin.
When making an escape with others, you should probably make sure that you're
Yo, that's a God's plan if you're not getting out, bro. What's poppin', Attack Squad? It's your boy SatAttack. Well, we got the title coming back to 10 dumbest prison escapes. But if you enjoyed, that subscribe button, like road 200 on the fan. We're going crazy. But let's get straight to it. And if y'all wonder why I got glasses on, this I got a light that's like hitting me straight in the face. Some like green screen all like messed up and shit, so that's why I'm like got my glasses on. So it ain't no other reason. But let's get
10 dumbest prison escapes.
Cause that should be hitting me right in the face.
Ronaldo Silva.
Fuck some
if your
eyes.
prison escape plan involves impersonation, you should probably make sure you've practiced enough to pull it off. In 2012, suspected drug trafficker Ronaldo Silva was being held at a prison in Brazil. After a previous failed prison escape involving armed weapons, he thought this time round he'd change his tactics. During a visit from his wife, he decided to swap clothes with her in private. He put on her blue dress and wore a wig. In fact, Silva was so well prepared to disguise himself as a woman, he had even shaved his arms and legs beforehand. Finally, to complete his womanly look, he decided to wear a pair of heels that she'd also brought with her. But this pièce de résistance...
Does she go in jail too or something? Because she's trying to help her do escape and stuff?
...ultimately led to the downfall of his plan.
Oh hell nah, bro. That's... bro...
Silva somehow managed to get past guards and leave the prison, but after watching him stumble around unable to walk in his heels, a policeman on patrol outside became suspicious and decided to alert the prison guards. Just 30 minutes into his bid for freedom, Silva was picked up by the police and returned to jail.
Wait, so he got out though?
Patrol outside became suspicious and decided to alert the prison guards.
Wait,
just
I'm confused. Did he get out? If he got out, why didn't someone pick you up?
Returned to jail. Number 9, Rafael Velardo. This next one was not so much the great escape as the wait escape. In 2012, Rafael Velardo was in prison in Brazil when he and 3 fellow inmates decided to conjure up an escape plan. They would smash a hole through their cell wall with a metal shower pipe and climb through the gap to freedom. Simple, right? After the first inmate slipped through the hole, Velardo was next up, but being a little on the larger side, he couldn't get through and got completely stuck. He was left with his upper body hanging outside the prison, the wall engulfing his midriff, and his lower body still in his cell. The 2 prisoners left in the cell tried to push him through, but to no avail. Velardo started screaming in pain, which alerted the prison guard.
Bro, get your fat ass out the way, bro. I had to make a bigger hole. Like, how you... I'd be fucking heated, bro. We worked this shit out, at least be the last one out. The other 2 that were stuck in there, bro, I would have whooped. Oh hell no, I would have been heated, bro.
The end of their hopes of escape. Velardo was eventually rescued by the fire brigade after they smashed through the rest of the wall.
Oh my goodness, bro, I would have fucking been heated, bro. You just messed up the whole plan. Now we got added sentence, bro.
Rather insensitively summarized the downfall of Velardo's escape plan, saying that he seemed to have underestimated the size of his stomach. Number 8,
so
George Hunt. Port Arthur on the Tasman Peninsula was dubbed as the inescapable prison in the mid-19th century. That's because the only way to escape from it to Tasmania was across a narrow stretch of land known as the Neck. But the Neck was guarded by vicious dogs and military guards, and the surrounding waters were infested with sharks.
Oh hell no, fuck, oh hell no.
Pretty impenetrable.
Hate sharks,
Prisoner
bro.
George Hunt, however, thought he had a foolproof idea. He disguised himself as a kangaroo by dressing in a hide and literally hopped over the Neck to escape. But instead of seeing a convict bounce away down the Neck, they saw their dinner and started firing shots at the kangaroo. At this point, Hunt was forced to throw off his disguise and reveal his true identity. Whether or not the guards were more upset that a prisoner had managed to trick them or that they had missed out on a meal, we're not so sure. For their troubles, Hunt was punished with 150 lashes before being returned to jail. Number 7, James Edward Russell. One day in June 2011, James Edward Russell...
That's how to be a good disguise for them to shoot at you because they thought you were a kangaroo, bro. Oh hell no, that was their excuse. They just want to shoot your ass.
Time for forgery and theft was transferred to the minimum security Olympic Correction Center in Washington State. But the very next day, he successfully managed to escape from the establishment. So far, so good. But Russell only made it 14 miles before his great escape all went wrong.
Damn, you got 14
Early the
miles,
next morning,
though.
Russell was
If it's
passing
on
through
foot,
a wooded resort.
that's
the
crazy.
criminal, still wearing his prison uniform, went to a cabin, knocked on the door, and asked to use the phone to make a call for help, the final part of his big getaway. But as luck, or sod's law in his case, would have it, the cabin he chose was being rented out by an off-duty guard from the Olympic Corrections Center that he had just escaped from. Needless to say, the officer immediately recognized Russell's red prison uniform. After a brief scuffle between the pair, the guard reported the incident, and Russell was caught later that morning by other officers.
What a chance you go 14 miles?
You're
not gonna cabin.
When making an escape with others, you should probably make sure that you're
Yo, that's just
plan.
That is God's plan if you're not getting out, bro.
Perfect chance to escape.
You have no chance of getting
Lester
out.
Burns and Michael Coleman hijacked the van that they were being transported into a prison in Oklahoma. The van had been dropping off some ill inmates at a hospital, and officers had rather stupidly left the van unattended with the keys in the ignition. The duo kicked out the petition in the van.
They deserve to get it. They deserve to be free after that stupid ass shit.
Front and drove off.
Hey,
but instead of making a run for it, Silverman, who was one of 6 inmates left behind, was reluctant to escape. In fact, he was so reluctant to escape that, still shackled, he dialed 911 and alerted the police to the escape. Burns and Coleman drove for a mile before they decided to ditch the vehicle and flee on foot. But Silverman's call to the police, that included the information regarding which direction the pair took off, helped them to narrow their search and led them to being found just a few hours later.
Wait, let me go back real quick.
And moved up front and drove off. But instead of making a run for it, Silverman, who was one of 6 inmates left behind, was reluctant to escape. In fact, he was so reluctant to escape that, still shackled, he dialed 911.
Okay, that's exactly what I thought it was. I thought it was, at first I thought it was the inmates that called 911, then I second guessed myself, but it was the inmates. So that dude's a snitch, bro.
He decided to ditch the vehicle and flee on foot. Silverman's call to the police, that included the information regarding which direction the pair took off, helped them to narrow their search and led them to being found just a few hours later. Number 5, John David Hayes. The saying goes that imitation is the highest form of flattery, but in this next attempted prison escape, it was the highest form of stupidity. In August 2010, John David Hayes was being held at the Greenville County Detention Center in South Carolina. On the day that Hayes was to be transported to a federal prison, he had a female accomplice call the jail and impersonate an official of the United States Marshal Service. Hayes' accomplice then told the detention center that Hayes had served his time and was to be released, before being informed that a particular form must be received from the Marshal's office before an inmate could be released. I love that that's all they needed. She pretended to be an official from the Marshal's HQ in Washington and tried to get
Hey, yo, she a real one, though. She went all out for man.
Needless to say, the officials were having none of it, and it didn't take them long to realise that it was all a hoax. But as a result of the failed escape plan, Hayes had extra jail time added to his already 30-month sentence. Number 4, Maria Del Mar Arjona Rivero. Some people really do go the extra mile for their other half, but perhaps no one more so than Maria Del Mar Arjona Rivero. In 2011, then 19-year-old Maria was on her way to a prison in Mexico for a conjugal visit with her husband, Edwin Valdemar Artiega Perez. Perez was serving a 20-year sentence for illegal weapons possession. Maria calmly wheeled a suitcase in with her, but as she left the prison after her visit, the guards noticed she was acting very nervous and was somehow struggling with her suitcase a lot more than when she first went in. I'm sure you can guess what happened here. Maria was stopped by the suspicious guards who opened her suitcase, and yes, you guessed it, they found her husband inside. He had managed to curl himself into the fetal position to fit in the suitcase.
Oh, come on, bro. You got one job, bro. I get it. You probably don't work out that much, but you got one job. Now we both caught, bro. You got one job just to do it normally. Yeah, I guess, because that dude probably do weigh like 150 pounds, 160, 180. But like, bro, you gotta work out for that one moment, bro. We have one job.
Was returned to his cell.
Look at the right arm.
Of her criminal actions, Maria, who was also pregnant at the time, was arrested and charges were brought against her.
Wow.
3. Christopher Cornelius and Matthews
pregnant
Johnson.
too, bro. Let's get it.
If you're planning to escape from prison, it's best not to draw your inspiration from cartoons. One night in September 2015, though,
it's actually a pretty sick, not sick, but it's pretty entertaining video.
A plan to escape. Christopher Cornelius and Matthews Johnson tied several bedsheets together, the idea being to use them so that they could climb down the side of the 4-floor high Community Corrections Center. So far, so Tom and Jerry. Johnson went first, but as he was climbing down the sheets, one of the knots connecting them came loose, breaking the chain, and he dropped a staggering 20 feet to the ground. Police were made aware of the escape after a nearby hospital worker who had witnessed the whole thing informed them. By this point, Johnson had somehow managed to recover from his fall and flee the scene. The broken escape apparatus left
20 feet. Okay.
Elias stranded on the roof. He was captured by guards and returned to his cell. But Johnson's triumph didn't last long. He was found early the next morning with ankle and back injuries and had to be hospitalised. Best make those double knots next time, eh, chaps? Number 2, Benjamin Hudon-Barbeau and Danny Provençal. Don't make a huge spectacle of your big prison getaway, otherwise it might just lead to a quick capture. Back in 2013, Benjamin Hudon-Barbeau and Danny Provençal were serving time in prison in Quebec. They both thought they'd made their great escape after 2 accomplices hijacked a helicopter and forced its pilot to fly to the jail where the 2 criminals were. When there, they let down a rope which the pair clung to, and then the chopper took off, taking Hudon-Barbeau and Provençal with it. But after this huge cinematic spectacle of an escape, the police were, of course, able to simply follow the helicopter, which stuck out like a sore thumb.
Yeah, like, what? Bro, this guy is dumb or stupid, bro. But you're the only helicopter flying. No shit, they gonna catch your ass. You gotta at least jump out. But even if you gotta jump out. But you ain't got no parachute though.
But what's rather interesting about this escape is that rather than it result in time being added to the sentence, it actually resulted in a reduced jail sentence. That's because the judge took into consideration Hudon-Barbeau's living conditions. For example, that he was obliged to be in his cell for 20 hours a day as a factor which may have caused him to try and escape. The judge concluded that his conditions were a violation of his human dignity and consequently reduced his 18-year sentence to 16 years.
So I'm gonna knock up 2 years. That's what's up.
I'm going to
did a whole GTA escape and got 2 less years. Okay.
Even just slightly. 2014, Kenneth Barnum tried to escape from the Hamilton County Jail. His genius idea? To trade identities with another inmate who had made bail and was due for release. But instead of impersonating someone who he vaguely resembled, Barnum, who is a 5'7" white man, tried to pass himself off as Glenn Taylor, a 5'10" African-American male. When the releasing officers called for Taylor, Barnum presented himself. The officers noticed that he looked nothing like the picture on file, of course, but Barnum signed the bond paperwork and continued to insist that he was Taylor. Needless to say, it didn't take long for police to officially determine he wasn't Taylor. Far from being released, Barnum was instead charged with criminal impersonation and attempted escape, and he was placed for segregation. When police later asked him why he tried to impersonate Taylor, he simply told...
How do you even think, like, your own impersonator, bro? I think we look like
he wanted to get out and that he was being dumb. At least, he was honest. So, that was 10...
Alright, that's gonna do it for that video, bro. That video was actually pretty entertaining, I ain't gonna lie to you. But if you enjoyed, that subscribe button, the like button, road to 2,000, join the family, we're going crazy. On to the next video. Let's get it.